What's going on, everybody? It's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push Sports Talk Radio. It's a full house today. Let's
So,
go. Familiar
season,
faces.
yes, season 5, episode 1.
Pitts
We
and
get
Push Sports Talk Radio. We
radio.
back.
We back.
Let's go, Coach Hue Jackson.
Yes,
What's
returning
going
guest.
on, man? I always love being on here with you guys.
Hey, the juice
Always
is
a pleasure.
loose.
Always a pleasure.
Man, Coach, we definitely appreciate you for being with us today, man. So much to unpack today. But before we get into any of those questions, first, how are you doing? You getting ready for the holiday season and that?
Oh, absolutely. I'm doing well. Obviously, could always be doing a little bit better, but I can't complain. God's been good to me. Some tremendous blessings in my life, and you just keep moving forward, keep going.
Keep,
Awesome.
keep pressing forward.
So, Push, I know you got some questions for Coach, but before we get those questions in, listen, audience, leave your comments. Listen, we got some videos for you, and we want you to rate Coach's dancing level from 0 to
Yeah.
10, 0 being the least, and 10, of course, being the highest. Y'all let us know in the comments what y'all think. Here go y'all first clip. We
Okay,
see Coach like that. We see Coach like that, Meek Mill. Now let's go to the second clip. Coach, take us through those moments, man. Let's go.
Well,
Let's start with the Cleveland one.
that's an earlier, younger moment, right? That's Meek Mill capping it off, having some fun with the guys, staying to the beat. That last clip is an older version of the old ball coach, but boy, he can still drop it like it's hot. Trust me.
Push just jealous because he don't got moves like that, Coach.
oh,
That's
I
all
got
that
That's
one.
is.
right.
I
That's
like,
right.
I like the boogie.
He got Mick Jagger moves, Coach. Don't let him fool you.
Smooth. I'm smooth. You heard?
So,
I,
so
I hear you.
So, Coach, let's go ahead and jump into it, man. This season didn't go as you planned, as we
Mhm.
spoke about earlier on, before the year began. But there were some high moments. Can you take us through your thoughts and feelings of this season and, how you feel it played out or whatnot?
Well, in order to take you through this season, I would have to go through the first season. So
Absolutely.
you go through the first year, you don't come in, you don't run everybody out. You start to understand the program, you see the lay of the land, you go through spring ball, you have some real good things going. You need to improve the team. Um, but as we started, a lot of freshmen played, a lot of young
Yeah.
guys played on offense. There was some more veteran guys on defense. Defense played pretty well. We kind of struggled a little bit on offense because we played a lot of young players. All right, starting quarterback was a freshman. The running backs were freshmen. From the
Yeah.
left tackle was a freshman. The left guard was a sophomore. The center was a sophomore. The right guard was a freshman. The right tackle, he was a junior. And so the receivers were young. So we had a young offensive team, a young team. We finished 3-8. Know that, hey, look, I understood it and knew we needed to recruit above that group, right?
Yes.
And I think you need to really stack three classes together
Yes.
because things are so different now. When you talk about the portal, you talk about NIL, you talk about making sure you have the right coaches. I try to be very transparent. The coaches that I know are NFL coaches, right? So I'm gonna work this the best I can. My first staff probably was my best staff, but I lost them. A lot of
Yeah.
guys went to the NFL, guys got better jobs because that's what happens in that situation. And that's not to make an excuse. That's just what it was. And then we tried to hire out art brows and all those things happen as well, right? So
Absolutely.
I look back at the first year and I go, okay, year two needs to be better. There needs to be a better football team, a better
Uh-huh.
product that's put on the field. My background's in offense. We need to start to ascend on offense, which I think we did. We got a quarterback that came in from Alabama State to compete with Julian Calvez. Great competition. He won the competition. He ended up being the number two quarterback in the SWAC this year.
Yep.
The offense went from, I think, ninth or 10th or whatever it was to second. That's a huge jump,
Yeah.
and so The football team went from 3 wins to five. Really wanted more wins. There's no doubt about it. But having a 3 game stretch where we won three in a row, beat Prairie View and Dallas, to end that streak, felt really good about that. There were some other games. There's no question. I thought we were going to win. Thought we had a very chance. But that's what happens in football. It never goes
Yes.
the way you think it should. But at the same time, I watch the improvement of our football team. And I know everybody points to the Southern game, the Bayou Classic. There's nobody that wants to win those games more than me and more than our team. And we came up short. It doesn't matter how, why, it doesn't matter, but we came up short. So now you give the university an opportunity to make a decision, about this is not fast enough. We expect more progress, whatever that is. I think it's hard. Again, they made the decision. I have to honor it and live with it. I don't agree with it, but at the same time, it's their decision to make. So you have to move on.
I believe, Coach. Oh, go ahead, push. I'm sorry.
Good. I'll rebound
I,
after.
I believe, Coach, that when it comes to the trigger in HBCU coaching, I feel that it is a microwavable expectation. They want that quick response. They want that put the dinner in a microwave for a couple minutes, ready, and it's done. Because as you just spoken and alluded to, the progression and the progress that you guys have made. Not only that, when you talk about the Bayou Classic this year from last year, a vast difference,
Oh yeah.
right? Your team definitely showed value and they fought. It's just a couple. There were some calls that could have been made
Hmm.
in that last drive, which would have may have propelled you guys. But at the end of the day, the fight was there, the progress was there, the growth was there. And I believe when you came in last year, you came in at the tip of recruiting. So it wasn't like you had a full year even then. You
Hmm.
came in towards the middle of the year. So, like, that's a disadvantage for you going in because I don't look at you as having 2 years. I look at you as really having like a year and a half.
Yeah, I don't.
Well, again, I'm not going to make any excuses. At the end of the day, you know what the job is. It's Grambling. And it's about, greatness and winning, and everybody still sees things and the Eddie Robinson's mirror. And I get that. But I thought I had time to build because
Yes.
I thought we wanted something that was going to be sustainable over
Yeah.
time. I didn't want to win one championship, but two championships, three championships. So you build it the right way, and all
Yes.
those freshmen that I was talking about in year one were starting to pay dividends in year two, coupled with a few more young players that really made contributions. And now this team is on the just right at the cusp of being great. And so it was hard, but at the same time, I'm gonna say it again. I understand. People want what they want, and
Yeah.
so I'm not gonna argue. Look, I've learned a long time ago. If people don't value what you bring to the table, if people don't see it, you can't make somebody see what you see.
Yeah.
You can't make somebody feel what you feel. So at the same time, I got great respect. I'm thankful for the opportunity. I wish them well, but man, I'm looking for the next opportunity because there's so many things that I think I still got to do and left to do, and I'm gonna get it done.
Amen.
Right, and what Pitts was saying, a year and a half, realistically, a year and a half. That's not long enough for you to turn around a program. So I want to ask kind of both of y'all after Coach Hugo Pitts, maybe you could chime in. But realistically, how long do y'all feel it takes a program to rebound with a new head coach?
Well,
Like,
I'm gonna give it to you like this because somebody who I have a lot of respect for is Coach Norvell at Florida State.
Yeah.
His first year, he was 3-7 or three and
Yeah.
eight, whatever it was. The second year, he was 5-7.
Yep.
The third year he went to 10-3 or 10-2, I believe.
Yep.
And this
Fourth
year
year undefeated.
and now he's undefeated. That's how you build a program.
Right.
Because you have to recycle and you have to, it's not just players, it's players and coaches.
Right.
It's getting the right fit of people and you getting the right resources around you as this time's going on to get to
Hmm.
that 13-0. And
Right.
I just feel like we were right there, regardless of what people think, thought, or whatever that is. I truly believe we were right on the cusp because we had an unbelievable recruiting class that was sitting out there waiting to jump on this one. And my goal was to recruit above the last class we had. So
Absolutely.
I didn't want to just win the SWAC. I wanted to be able to win any game that we may play in the future. And the only way you do that is recruit above where you thought you needed to be.
And to jump on and piggyback what Coach said, first, a comment in the Facebook section, I agree with. Mitchell Matthews said definitely need like 3 to 5 years. Here's why I agree with the 3 to 5 years, right? As Coach alluded with Coach Norvell at Florida State, when you first come on, depending on when you join, like Coach Hue Jackson, and you're joining after a recruiting period, you still are not getting the players that you want, the players that fit your program, the
Mhm.
players that mold into the system that you want, right? So here, now you're definitely using players and you have to figure out how to move and make those pieces shake together, not knowing if they will. But it's shake and bake. You got to go with the punches. So then you go to year two. Now you're starting to be able to put your imprint on it. You're now able to go through a full year of recruiting of the players that you want. You know, the portal's happening. So now you're able to bring guys in that are in the portal that have experience. So as Coach alluded, his first year was all freshmen, right? So then you mix that with some experienced guys from the portal. So now you're able to get some continuity within the offense, within the defense. As you said earlier, the offense jumped, right? Not only that, you've seen the difference in the fight in games versus last year. Last year, there were a lot of lopsided games. This year,
Mhm.
they were in the thick of it, game in, game out. So you take that, now you got a year and a half with the freshmen, you added some veterans. So now you're able to go through a whole nother year. And now you're really, it's like baking a cake, right? You go through your ingredients, you mix it together, that's your first year. You put it in the oven, that's your second year. Now you start to be able to build the cake the way you want, 2 layers, 3 layers, icing, decorations, whatever you want, year 3, 4, 5, and now you're able to progress. Now you're able to see the results. I don't think that 2 years, a year and a half is enough time for anyone to come in and do a job that the expectation is given. Absolutely, coach. There are no excuses in football. You're expected to line up and execute
Mhm.
regardless. But when there is no when there isn't an alignment,
Yeah.
then it's still rocky.
Mhm.
So regardless of the expectation, it's rocky. So that's built that now we basically are saying that we already mixed the cake. We're gonna put it in the oven, but we're gonna take it out before it's really supposed to be taken out. And we now we're just throwing the icing and the decoration. You can't do that.
Well,
Right. If I felt that the players felt that they wasn't growing or getting better or starting to have that expectation of winning, I would have been the first to say, "Hey, look, let me check out of here." I just think to a man, to a player, they could see, feel, and really vision what was about to happen. So
Yeah,
that's what made it more disappointing than anything. And now I just hope they don't lose the nucleus of a
yeah.
really good team because of this portal and because that's what starts to happen. You know, guys start to move out as other coaches come in because they are uncomfortable, they don't know what's coming, and so now you lose what you built.
Well, I'm sorry, Push, and I know you got another question you want to throw in, but to add to that as well, Coach, think about it also this way. You may lose guys in a portal, right? But then
Hmm.
thinking about the guys that you recruited the year before that are coming to Grambling because they wanted to be under your tutelage, you now have those players who may decommit. So
Yes.
you're really going back to the building blocks. You're really starting over at this point now. And not
Hmm.
only that, now you're starting over. You're back at square one when you were really at level two going to level three.
Right. The first thing I think with teams you have to get players to do is trust you.
Yeah,
They got to know you care and that you're in it with them before you're going to get everything out of them anyway. And I would say to a player, the one thing they knew I cared. They knew that I was going to walk through whatever with them, individually, collectively. Same thing with the coaches. I mean, there's nothing that I wouldn't do for my players and my staff because they're
yeah,
my responsibilities. So I don't think people really understand how important that is. You got to have that connection. There's a discipline piece to it too, don't get me wrong, but there's a connection
yeah,
because you can't coach a guy to the degree you need to coach him if he doesn't know that you care.
true.
There's just no way you're not going to get it out of him. And so there was a lot of building that need to happen there that's a little bit different maybe at some other places, that
right.
I think we built those things. I think I built those things, and then all of a sudden now these players are thrown back into the who do I trust, who do I go to, how do I make navigate life, per se. And I think those things are so important.
Absolutely. And while we talking about the transfer portal right now, the transfer portal is on fire, right? Players, and
Stupid.
but I'm kind of in a disagreement with it is players are allowed to come in and then leave right out after the season, right? So what I wanted to ask y'all, do y'all feel like there needs to be like parameters or some type of guidelines with this portal? Because right now it's like college free agency. Come
It's
in,
gotta be.
it got to be some type of
It
parameter.
has to be. It's just it's no different than what I saw today about the NCAA saying that pretty soon they're gonna really be able to mandate that the school can pay the players.
Hmm.
I mean, that's
Mm,
happening in real time. And so I think it does because you hate to have a player come play for you, play for a year, you're trusting he's gonna be there, then all of a sudden he says, okay, let me go try this over at another school because they're gonna give me an extra $20,000. And let me go try this out. And that's what's happening. And I get it.
yeah.
It is free agency one-on-one, but I take you a step back. So when you go back and think, when I think about our first year, because you have to go back and evaluate the portal guys that you put on the team. How much are they contributing? How
Hmm.
what are they doing for your football team? And I'm gonna be very honest, our hit rate wasn't very good in our first year. Our
Hmm.
hit rate was better in our second year, and it goes right back to what Pitts was saying in the beginning. You have to know, you're trying to fill a hole with a guy. He still might not be the right guy because the guy you see on tape that plays maybe at Antelope Valley might not be the same player that's going to play at Grambling State when you're playing Alcorn.
Yeah.
There's a whole different feel to that player because of environments, and people never take those things into consideration. And so those were things we had you have to work through. And I'm sure other schools are talking about. There's a human side to this that people don't talk about enough,
Yeah.
because that student athlete, how he's matriculating every day might be different in your community where you are than it was where he was. So
Right.
there's so much that go into this that I don't think people even factor in or think about that they need to start thinking about as this process even picks up even more steam here in the future.
Right. And push to kind of piggyback, or to expound on what Coach was saying. If you think about it too, um, if with not having parameters now, and Coach, you talking about how the NCAA now is looking at for universities to play. Think about how many more players will be poached. Think about especially from an HBCU, because the budget ain't that big already for an HBCU. So
Right.
think about PWIs, those schools who got the money, the amount of money they throwing at kids is the budget for an HBCU. Like, so it's going to be hard for schools, smaller schools, HBCUs to retain their talent and their players, especially when they know that there is a financial upside if I may go in this other direction. And before you ask your next question, or if you make a statement, push anyone that's watching, if you like to make a comment, go ahead and put it in the comment section, and I'll try to get to it. Thank you. Mitchell Matthews was saying that he's a fan with the part with the school's paying. He's just not with the players hopping from school to school every year.
That's what it
Mhm.
going on right now, man. You seeing it right now. That's what's going on, man. They got to get a hold of it right now, man. They gotta put something down, put some type of guideline down, or it's gonna get bad, man.
Well,
Right.
Push, when you look at what's happening, people are evaluating the college quarterbacks. Here's a list of the top 10 portal quarterbacks. I've never seen that before. And
Yeah.
some of these guys have been at their school 1 year,
Yeah.
and they're willing to leave right now because they're going to get a better deal someplace else.
Mm.
And what about the teaching of the student athlete? What about the student for this athlete? Now, like you said, it's going to become amateurism sport here in a second because there's no more about the student athlete. To me, they should take the student out of it then because
Yeah,
Absolutely.
this
I'm
is
full
truly
of
about the athlete now. This is about the dollars and the
yeah.
cents and being the best player. And I'm gonna say this out here live because I think the NFL's not thinking because they better get a hold of this themselves too. Because if they start playing these players in college like they have the potential to, remember the NFL has one owner.
Right.
These colleges can have 20 to 30.
Yeah,
And
board
I'm the
of
best
governors
player.
and everything.
And I'm the best player, and I'm playing every week, and I'm making millions of dollars, and I'm taking care of my family. Well, in 4 years, I don't need to go to NFL. So you're
True.
going to start losing the best players.
True.
The best players are now going to say, "Man, I've had enough. I've made enough money. I don't need to go to the National Football League and wait to make this money. I just made it."
Yeah,
And nobody's thinking about football at the higher level and just what all of that's going to look like here
absolutely.
in the next 4 to 5 years if nobody gets a handle on this thing.
Mm.
And we have a question from the audience from Monteith Javon. Shout out to Tease. Coach, he wants us to ask you what is your preference? When it comes to the Celebration Bowl, teams now have an option if it's the Celebration Bowl or going to the playoffs to try to win a national championship. Do you have a thought or opinion into whether or not you go to the because I think this year it was North Carolina Central. North Carolina Central made it clear to the MEAC that they weren't willing that they weren't looking at I think the
Celebration.
celebration bowl that they wanted
Right.
to go to the playoffs. So do you have an opinion in that regard?
I do. I think for them, and I'm not speaking for them, and I have not talked to their coach about it. They have been there and done that, right?
Oh,
So,
right.
in their opinion, let's see how far we can go. We've
Yeah.
won that one, and people really don't get that the SWAC is really at a disadvantage. I hate to say that, but I understand it better now because they played their championship game this past week. The Celebration Bowl is this week. So the other team that's playing in the Celebration Bowl, they got to sit there for 2 weeks and do nothing
Yeah.
and get healthy and get ready to play. And then they play this game. So I would wish that, it was alternating at the least, right? One year we play in that bowl because it's such a great game. But boy, let's go see how far this team can really go in the FCS playoffs and
Yeah.
see if they can make it. I think there's something to it.
And push before we get to our next point, I do want to real quick, ladies and gentlemen, we do have an intern that has been working with us. She plays softball for Bowie State. She majors in communication and journalism, and we thought it'd be dope for her to be able to join us during these moments so she can get a feel for the environment and get a comfortability and establish a comfort zone. So I like to introduce Jakaya to you guys.
Let's
Hi,
go.
everybody.
Hey.
Hey.
What's happening, lady?
Not much. I've really been enjoying sitting back, hearing you guys talk about everything. So this has been really nice. So thank
So,
you
Coach,
guys.
and Coach, we know we don't have too much of your time, but we did want to have well, push before I ask that question
Go ahead.
before we veer off.
Go ahead. Let her do her thing.
Well, Coach,
Hmm.
this is not the question I wanted to ask, but it did pique my interest. I thought about it as we was talking, and somebody just put it in the chat. Do you want to stay in college or do you want to go back to the NFL?
I love both. I just love leading men. If the right opportunity in the NFL comes about, there's no question I'd love to go back and do it because it's
Pittsburgh.
it's seen as
Damn, my bad. My
because
bad.
it's seen as the best, right? But I love leading programs. I love leading men. I love giving back. I love watching coaches grow. I think there is something to that. You just want to make sure that who you do it with, that they have the same vision as you and that you have their support, their unquestioned support to get through what you need to get through. And to me, none of these programs that I've been at are just turnkey,
Yeah.
right? So it takes a little time and you want somebody to walk that out with you. But at the same time, boy, if there's a turnkey program out there and they're looking for a coach, I'm sitting right here. So
Yeah. Listen, Rooney. Listen, Mike. Matt, we knew Matt Canada wasn't the answer for years. We finally pulled the trigger. We got a combination going right now. We got an experienced offensive coordinator that we know can call NFL plays, not
Oh
Pee
yeah.
Wee Pop Warner plays. Listen, Coach Hugh is available for you. Do not hesitate. Pull the trigger. But Coach, we wanted to transition real. Oh, you got some push? Go ahead.
Do your thing. Go ahead, bro.
No, no, go ahead, push. Go.
No, I want to say, what you looking for a new job, coach? I have a question here that we ain't get to, but like, what are some challenges for African American coach when trying to get a new job, if there's any?
There is challenges. They're hard
Mm,
because you know when you go, people see you as not successful.
yeah,
I don't see the Gremlin situation as not successful.
right.
I see it as not enough time.
Yeah,
I if I really evaluated and looked at it, I said, well, success was right there, and maybe they wasn't ready for that success. But normally, you get painted a different way, right? You get labeled as, boy, maybe this guy just ain't good enough, and that's not the case at all. I think what's important is that people do enough digging. I'm not talking about myself. I'm talking about anybody who's out there looking for a job. And normally, you're looking for a job because your team didn't win
yeah,
or your position didn't do as well, or there could have been injuries. It could be a lot of different reasons, but normally people's reputations precede them.
yeah,
And normally, some guy, I've seen it before, some guy from some other school or some other NFL team says something because he doesn't want you to get ahead of him, or he doesn't. To me, it's too much of that goes on, in my opinion. You
yeah,
know, I just think we should all be trying to lift each other up because these
Yeah.
jobs are far and few between and
yep,
not pull each other down. But I've seen a little bit of that and I stop it immediately because it shouldn't be that way. Now, if a guy earns it and and he deserves it, then that's different. But at
yeah.
the same time, we should be lifting each other up. But it is tough when you have lost a job to get another job.
And Jakar, before I ask Coach this last question, is there anything that you want to say or chime in with?
I did want to chime in when you guys were talking about the eligibility. Not the eligibility, but you guys
The
were talking
transfer
about
portal.
the
Portal.
transfer portal and like rebuilding the program and how long it takes to really rebuild a program. I could kind of like testify to that because when I transferred into Bowie, it was my sophomore year and it was the year after COVID. So like Coach really had to recruit a lot of new people to come in. That year I was the only transfer, so it was a rebuilding year. We ended up losing. I think we won the Northern Division, but we ended up losing the CIAA championship because it was a rebuilding year. But the next year we came back, worked, and then we ended up winning it. So like it does take about at least 2 years to kind of mesh with the people that are there and kind of rebuild a program because it took a lot of getting to know everybody and building that team chemistry. So definitely,
Excellent point.
yeah.
Excellent point. So, Coach, last question, and you take us away with it. Did Florida State get robbed?
Wow. You know, I'm gonna say this, and I'm gonna tell you why I didn't think they did.
Okay.
It's unfortunate that the quarterback got hurt, and yes,
Oh,
they did earn a 13-0 record. But we got to be very transparent about what all of this is about. It's about the
Mhm.
almighty dollar.
Absolutely.
And until people are honest about that, they're not going to put certain people on TV because they're really good. There's another team that's undefeated. I think Lafayette's undefeated.
yeah,
They're not going to have Lafayette play, freak
yeah,
Florida State, right?
right,
So we got to be honest about that piece of it. And people want to see really good football. It's not just because you were 13-0. Grambling could be 13-0. Grambling not playing in that game neither, right?
yeah,
So let's just be very transparent about that. I think and I think they understand it. At the end of the day, I want to say Florida State understands it. When you really look at it, when you tear it apart, it's frustrating. Those players work their tail off to get to 13-0, and I think their coach got every right to feel the way he feels. But if you really understand the sport and what's happening today in this climate that we're in, you can fight it and argue about it, but you got to let it go and move on. Go do it again. Go be
yeah.
13-0 again and get back to where you need to be, and hopefully the quarterback doesn't get hurt.
Wow, that
Man,
was a lot.
oh, they might as well say the SEC got two automatic spots.
That's
Mm,
how, yeah,
No,
that's how I
yeah, I
feel.
mean, it feels that way. I mean, but Alabama got in, Georgia didn't.
But yeah,
And so at the end of the day, I think Georgia got beat by Alabama. Alabama, a lot of people say Georgia should be in too because they won the last two, but no, they didn't make it. Texas beat Alabama. Washington's undefeated, Michigan's undefeated. I think for the majority, got it right. If that quarterback was going to be back and playing, man, I'd be jumping on this table saying, "Hey, no, Florida State, you got to be in." But he's out for the year, and we watched them struggle
Yeah,
the other day. With a tremendous offensive football team, man, that receiver they have number 4, he's the real deal. And that 6'7" guy, are
yeah,
you kidding me? And those backs, but you're never going to get to see them play like you would normally see them play because this quarterback can't do that yet. He's not ready to do that yet. So
Yeah.
I get it.
Well, Coach, we definitely appreciate it, man. We definitely want to have you back, especially once the bowl games come on. We really want to get your take as the college football playoffs take off. We want to get your take after the two games play, and then for the national championship, maybe have like a national championship watch
Oh,
report. Kind of like Peyton and them.
hey, count me in because I saw when Michigan, when they heard who they had to play, that's all over the internet, isn't
Hmm. Let's go.
it?
But as y'all heard it, man, it's your boy Pitts from Pitts and Push. You got Push. We got Coach Hugh. We got our Jakai, our intern from Bowie State University. It's going down. Season 5, Episode 1. Pitts and Push, Sports Talk Radio.
Yes.